like the whole two faith thing, it can't work. Like, you're a Muslim, I'm a Christian, this isn't going to work, you know. Just for me, it's not gonna work. And he was like, you know, I know loads of, like, I have friends who have, you know, one person is a Muslim and one person is a Christian, like, it's, you know, it's 2000 and whatever year it was, 16, 17, it's the 21st century, like, we can make it work. But for me, I just had a conviction in my heart that God didn't want this for me. And I know a lot of people try to be like, oh yeah, but, you know, we both believe in God and da-da-da-da-da. But if you look at the fundamentals, as in the cause of both faiths are very, very different. And that's just the facts. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not...
I'm not gonna lie, this one's gonna be a little bit more personal than the rest, but hang in there, let's have some fun and get into it.
Before we get into the episode, please do me one massive favor. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. Put into the comment section what you liked, what you disliked, what you want to hear from me next. In order for the channel to grow, it needs your subscription. It needs you to hit that notification bell. So what are you waiting for? Seriously, what are you waiting for? Hit that notification bell and let's get into it.
Okay, so today's episode will be on interfaith relationships. What are interfaith relationships? To sum it up quickly and easily, they are essentially when someone from a different religion is dating another person from a different religion. Sometimes they can be crossed over with people from different denominations of religion, but that's a bit different. We're going to be focusing mainly on people from different faiths in relationships. So a lot of them will be Christian and Islam, but that's their algorithm. I'm really sorry, but I will cover Hinduism and Buddhism and Sikhism too. I will cover that. So what brought me to this episode? What inspired this episode? I'm not gonna lie, it was a conversation on the treadmill that really brought it to life. I was working out.
When you hear yourself say that, does that sound like it makes sense? Does it sound like it makes sense?
Actually, I just finished working out. Listen, I'm digressing, but it was a conversation on a treadmill about relationships and interfaith relationships, and I have been in one. I have to be honest. I've been in an interfaith, call it situationship.
You're a clown! Did y'all hear him? And they say there's no such thing as a free lunch.
And I've always wanted to cover that aspect of my life. I know there's people who have been in similar situations, whether they're dating people outside of their race and religion, and what difficulties lie ahead. How do you get past that? How do you maneuver past it? Can you even maneuver past it? Is it delusional? Is it possible?
So it's something that you have to be comfortable with. So I cannot sit here and tell you to convert into Islam or tell you don't convert, become a Christian and leave him alone or whatever. So you have to know yourself, you have to know your partner, you have to know what's good and what's bad for you. So you just gotta make decisions. Like in life, you have to make hard decisions. You gotta pick what's right for you, what's good for your family.
Look, the point is that I got where she was coming from. Yeah, I understood what she was meaning and how hard it is for someone in this community to marry outside of it. I mean, even though I had, by the time I got to college, left Christianity and gone back to Islam, and even though through my studies I had garnered a much more expansive idea of religion and faith and the intersection of those two, I knew from my days as an evangelical Christian that it ain't so hard to marry outside of that community.
Or it is so hard. It ain't so easy.
It ain't so easy. That's what I meant to say.
We correct each other.
Right.
And so by the time we actually did meet, we soon found out that we actually shared quite a lot in terms of our values, our beliefs, our practices, and just how we wanted to live our lives. And we decided that the differences that did exist did not need to be a conversation ender. They didn't need to have us stop in our tracks. They were the beginning of a conversation. And
I wanted to start with examples of interfaith relationships working, how they work, the amount of communication you need. And the situation that I was in, there was a vast amount of communication about what life ahead will entail, and sometimes that can be problematic. You're kind of hyper analyzing the future without understanding the variables because you're not in the future. On top of that, there can be miscommunication along how you see things and how someone sees things, and you kind of have to go through a myth busting exercise with each other. And as you can see from some of these clips,
kind of works. I remember when that was happening, when we started making the shift from like dating and being friends and just hanging out then like being like serious. I remember you were like, I was like, it's just like, it won't work because like our religions are like, really religion was a huge barrier for us, or for me, even into thinking that like it could be something more. And I think one day you were just like, but like, what if it was more serious? And I was like, and that's when like, you know, the things like, and then I was like, okay, if this becomes more serious, we need to talk about this, we need to talk about this, we need to talk about this.
Exactly. So we make everything clear. We write even the red lines, what you don't like, what everything. And honestly, that kind of challenge that we are facing made me, I can call myself a bit religious.
It's supposed to mean and what you do in an interfaith marriage. One of the questions that comes up a lot for people, it's more a sentiment of, gosh, well, isn't it so hard to understand each other? How do you do that when you come from such different places, such different systems of belief? It just so happens that interfaith couples are masters of communication. Studies actually show that interfaith couples, interfaith marriages are better at communicating than same-faith couples. It's this thing, this term that marriage experts call dyadic consensus. And it's basically the skill, the ability to communicate well, to understand each other, and to come to an agreement on difficult issues. Perhaps because we could, we saw it coming before we even met from the Googling and stuff. Maybe because interfaith couples know from the get-go, hey, there are differences between us. They figure it out. They figure out how to communicate.
In other words, it's now scientifically proven that interfaith relationships are better.
Reza gets paid to have strong opinions, so just...
They spend time discussing each other's differences and understanding each other's similarities and realizing how similar each other are. And I do genuinely believe in my heart that all religions, most religions I should say, especially the main ones, they preach pretty much the same message, which is do good unto others and good things shall happen. You can get it gets a bit more different when you're looking at Buddhism with karmic cycles, and the same with Hinduism and Sikhism as well. But generally speaking, they are preaching the same message. So I always try to approach it from a place of coalition, and you can see it here that they are approaching it in a place of coalition, coming together, trying to find a mutual understanding. However, you're probably noticing one glaring elephant in the room, which is essentially they are all men of the Islamic faith. And why is that?
A Muslim man is allowed to marry a Christian girl and a Jewish. But a Christian woman, a Muslim woman is not allowed, and I'll tell you why. However, a Muslim man and a Muslim woman are both not allowed to marry idol worshippers. So those who worship idols. Like a pagan. Hinduism, pagan, So that's what it is. So even I am not allowed to marry a pagan. The reason behind that is because obviously usually the man is the one that's dominant, he's the leader. He can coerce his wife to become a Christian. However, for example, if I was to marry a Christian woman, I am not allowed to convert her to my religion. So that's why she's protected, because I can't force my religion down her throat. However, a Muslim woman, as a Christian man, he might force her.
Some of this is due to algorithmic reasons. It was much harder to find couples that were, the man was Christian, the woman was Islamic. But as you can see from the clip, it's frowned upon. The direct text is that a man can marry someone of the people or of the book, I believe. And I'll place it here if I've misquoted it. However, with women, it's discouraged. You see from the clips why, which also leads me into this part that's very important to say, that Winfred, who spoke by herself about her relationship, how she managed her relationship, how she made it work, coming from a Christian background and him being Muslim, you have to understand that some cultures have a more secular take of religion. That's number one. So they're not as strict in the doctrine of it. Number two, culture and religion, specifically when it comes to Islam, Hinduism, Sikhism, is very much embedded into the culture of these people, whether they're from Pakistan, different parts of India, even in some places in West Africa where Islam is embedded into the culture of the people. The Hausa Fulani tribe in Nigeria is one that springs to mind, but you've got Cameroonians who are predominantly Islamic as well. It ranges, it expands. When the cultures are so embedded into one, and you're marrying into that culture from a different, not only religion, but potentially culture as well, which some of these were, you're in for a culture shock and you've got to wake up to that fact and reality.
Let's say, I'm gonna use me and you, yeah? So let's say my family are of like proper, strong religious moral belief, yeah, and principles, very strict. Whether it's Christian, Jew or Muslims, yeah, that's them. And I'm attracted to you and we get on really fine, yeah? But I'm not going out with you. I'm not dating you or nothing, but we get on really well. Basically, like we do, we just talk, cool, yeah? But you and your family are of not even complete different religion, like
complete different culture as well as religion.
Yeah, but the people
and moral standing.
And I know for a fact mum and dad are gonna have a problem with me and you, yeah? Is it wise? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, it does happen. But is it wise that I really try to get with you? The difference between falling in love and really trying to get with you. And that's my thing where I'm a bit skeptic, because I'm all for love and I'm all for, like, I want to have like a big mixed family, I want to have mixed kids and all that, yeah? But I'm just saying, if you know that it's going to cause a disaster where you're going to fall out with mum and dad over all this stuff, it's better to kind of avoid it.
I probably noticed it more just for the simple fact that I've been on the other side. I've been the person of a non-Islamic faith being with the person who is Islamic, and it definitely was a topic that was brought up. Conversion, reverting was brought up. That was never going to happen. I'm going to put it out there. I never joked about it happening. I'm not those weirdos who say I'm going to do something and I'm not going to do it.
I don't play these ghetto games. But you want I don't do this bubblegum.
I may lie about a few things, but I definitely don't lie about stuff like that. I don't joke with that. That's not even funny to me. People who do that, you're weird.
You bum. Am I wearing anything on here? Bum.
But I get it. Some people need to get it anyway. They need to get it. But that presents another important fact, is sometimes people can feel like this is people's escapism. This can be people's way of just trying out and getting to know themselves before they meet someone serious from their faith. And there are flags that you need to watch out for.
That they need to watch out for. Unfortunately, a lot of Muslim men that get into relationships with non-Muslim women do have ulterior motives. This is also the case with a lot of Muslim men that get into relationships with women who recently reverted into Islam. I recently had an interaction with a non-Muslim woman who came on my TikTok live, and she told us the guy she's seeing, who's a Muslim man, was trying to get married to her without ever meeting her, and also told her that she should not tell her family about their relationship or about their marriage. When she came on my TikTok live and told me this, I was like, sis, like, there cannot be more red flags than this, because the fact that he was telling her to not tell her family, and also the fact that he was trying to expedite their marriage, was a little bit alarming, especially considering the fact that they have never met in real life. There's also this other time where a girl who recently reverted to Islam told me that the guy that she's seeing was trying to do physical stuff with her over FaceTime, and told her that that is allowed in Islam as long as they wanted to get married to each other, which is obviously not the case. She contacted me to ask me if I thought this guy was taking her seriously, and if some of the things he told her to do were halal. I've literally had hundreds of women reach out to me telling me their stories, and it's honestly so heartbreaking. I feel like it's so important we make these type of videos, because as women, we need to look out for each other.
Now, this is predominantly aimed at women, so Islamic men targeting non-Islamic women, but some of those flags do apply to men as well who are non-Islamic themselves. And I think honest conversation about what you want and what you want from this person is the way to counteract that. Sometimes reading between the lines with people, some people aren't upfront and honest because maybe you're just not the person you think you are to that person.
If you are honest, I genuinely feel like this is my word from a woman to all the men in the world. If you are honest and you say, hey, I don't want anything serious. I don't want to be in a relationship. I literally just want to have sex, and I just want to keep it at that. And I'm seeing other women, and that's not going to change for our situation. If you just said that, if she really like you like that, she gonna go for it. But maybe you're not the guy you think you are, so you have to lie and hurt people.
So you use lies to masquerade and get around it to get what you want. Call it what it is. I'm not gonna hear and beat around the bush. However, having these open conversations when you're dealing with someone from another faith, from another culture, is very important, because you don't want to be in a situation where you waste your time.
I knew that God was telling me and pressing on my heart and saying, like, you cannot be with this person, this man, this person is not for you. You are unequally yoked. It is not something that I approve of. That, again, what I believe, if you're out there and you're in a multi-faith relationship, that is no discredit to you, and I don't want to offend you, but this is what just I personally felt in my heart God was saying to me, like, no. I just felt basically like God was just saying no. But it's so hard. Oh, guys, like anyone that's been in a sticky situation in a relationship will know how hard it is. And but yeah, once I'd gone to that church and gotten that kick up the backside, I remember God just telling me, like, Nissy, you know that you need to let this aspect of your life go. You need to let it go. And I was in such a battle in my mind to the point where I had to speak to my pastor. The pastor of that church basically used to be a Muslim, and he came from a Muslim family, Muslim background, Muslim everything, to the point where even his father was an imam in his village, in his area in Nigeria, but he converted to Christianity, you know, became a man of God, became a pastor, and I knew he would be someone that understood. So I approached him and basically like just came to him and was like, listen, I really need your help. I need to speak to you. And at this point I was on holiday, so I think this was the summer holiday before I'd completely like was just like, God, I'm done with sex, I'm done with all of these things, I'm just here for you and I want to commit everything to you. I remember, you know, speaking to him over Skype and basically just explaining to him, like, Pastor, I'm in this sticky situation. I've been with this guy for 3 years of my life. Like, I have such strong feelings for him, but he's a Muslim. And I know that you are a Muslim, and I want to know, like, what would it be like if I was to go further with him, if we were to, for example, get married and blah, blah, blah. And he just said to me, like, Nissy, I'm not here to tell you what you need to do or not to do, but the fact that you've come to me shows that there's something in your heart that you know isn't right. So you need to seek God and you need to do what is right before the eyes of God. And he was like, you already know what you need to do. You just came to me because you wanted confirmation. Go and do what you know you're supposed to do. And after that, guys, I basically knew it was confirmation from God to let it go.
I like Nissy's story here because she's someone that tried. She also showed some of the flags in someone who's trying, where you're trying to convert them into your way of being. Again, this is an example of the man being Islamic and the woman not being, which I believe presents its own set of problems. It sounds like, and if I know Nissy's timeline well enough, because I used to watch her in Backchat London, sounds like she was in uni. She's someone that is very faithful, she's very Christian, she prays often. Again, there are examples of where it has worked. And I've got to put this out there because I don't want to be deceptive. Raza Arslan, the clip I just used, he is a theologist, where essentially he's got a PhD in religious studies. He is uniquely set up to be in an interfaith relationship. Winfred, not the same, obviously, and the other examples weren't the same. But I wanted just to put that there because you may see me use him and some of the ways he copes and deals with it. But the truth of the matter is he's uniquely set up for that situation, and I don't want to be deceptive. I think Nissy, who's someone who has a more, I think dogma might be rude, but she definitely has a more militant expectation of how she sees her faith and sees her faith in her religion. I do think, and if I'm being completely honest, it might sound mean, but she may never see this. She may have just been stigmatized, and that's why she didn't leave, because the reason she left.
And like I said, we've been on and off for 3 years. At this point now, he was trying really, really hard. He'd done some dumb-ish before, but he was trying really, really hard.
Sounded like he was cheating. Now, I may be wrong, forgive me if I am, but you know, someone who's been in that situation, often it's not actually the religion that breaks you two apart, it's other things. But it can exacerbate it. And in the case of Nissy, it sounds like it can exacerbate it. And if you're not prepared to potentially, I just looked into the bloody light, wow.
Yo, hey man, pull your skirt down, B.
If you're not prepared to work through things, talk through things, and you don't see this person in a long-term view, you're wasting your time.
Think about your life. You are a failure. You are a failure. You can never make it.
You see, this video and the red flags video brings up very important points where you have to ask yourself, are you being hidden? Are you a dirty secret? Are you being fetishized as a black man and as a black person? Some of the people reading this, some of the people watching this, you may be being fetishized as well. And if you're not being introduced to their family and it's gone months down the line, you potentially are.
Is it a colour thing? Is it a colour thing?
Is there a colour thing about it? Is there underbelly colour thing that keeps you going?
Post-edit clip here, guys. You've just seen the Sol Campbell clip of, is it a colour thing? Why have I mentioned that in a discussion about interfaith? Am I just bringing up race again?
We need a mental health hospital for raccoons like you.
Perhaps. However, the dynamic sometimes between Islam and Christianity does play a racial aspect to it. I've covered that it can be inter-race as well. It can be two people of the same race where this dynamic happens. I've covered it with Nissi. I'm not afraid to discuss it. But I have anecdotally, myself personally, been on the end of when it's been people from the South Asian community, it can be from the Arab community, anywhere where this is predominant, where the religion is. And we don't want to deny that. And the reason I say that is just this simple question. If it was a white person in the place of these people that they were discussing, would the discussion be the same?
So
she's Guyanese.
And he's Pakistani, but they're both Muslim. So this is where the culture comes into play. Your religion is the same.
I've known bare Pakistani friends to go with mixed race or black girls.
Yeah.
That's quite common actually.
Is there less of an issue with getting with a black person rather than a white person in Islam, do you think? Because
it depends what culture and what race it is.
Okay.
Because what's black? Somalian? Some people say we are black, some people say no, they're not.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But then if we talk about like a lot of my Pakistani, and then it matters if you're a man or a woman. I noticed that as well. Like, I've noticed it's a bit more acceptable. It seems acceptable
as a guy,
if a man
yeah,
is marrying a black girl.
Yeah. Or vice versa, if the man's marrying a white girl or whatever.
Yeah, if it's a.
But if it's the woman,
if it's the woman
out of creed, colour, whatever you want to call it, it becomes more of an issue.
Exactly. But then again, like, here's a problem with black people. I'm not gonna lie as well. Cause I've seen loads of racists get excited when it's a white guy. I've seen and heard a lot of racists have a problem, with a black guy.
Okay.
But be very welcoming to a white guy. People get kicked out of their houses. Don't talk to mum anymore. And you know, anyone that knows me, everyone knows how passionate I am about mums and falling out and things like this. Not talking to their dad anymore. Like, the dad acts in a manner that you would not expect your dad to hit. Like, for example, I'm hearing girls getting pregnant by not the same religion, and the dad saying, go to the kitchen and have an abortion. Something that you would never expect this religious man to say, but he's saying it to his daughter now.
The reason I put that Tia Ward clip of that guy speaking about what that guy was saying, I don't think that was two people from the same community. Perhaps, but I doubt it. The way he looked, his body language, and the dynamics in London as well, it's probably someone from the South Asian community. It's something I've experienced, it's something I've seen, and I'm telling you, I've experienced more racism from the South Asian community than I've met from the white community, and that's a fact. And you can ask many black people about that. Number two, and more importantly, racial dynamic to a small degree between Christians and Islam when you're married into another faith and another faith and another culture. And there are tremendous tensions and idiosyncrasies between Christianity, Islam, or Christianity and people who are not in a specific faith, maybe atheists, maybe just agnostic, maybe confused. Same with Islam.
Now, what we say to our Christian friends is the following, yeah? Let me know when this is said. I'll let you know. What we say to our Christian friends is this. God Almighty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, is the one who gives you, your family, the food that you eat, the water that you drink, the earth that you walk on, the health that you have, the glasses that you wear, the trainers that you wear, all of that. What you're doing is you're saying, Jesus, thank you very much. This is the pinnacle. We believe this is the major sin. This is worse than anything that you can commit in this life. So this is why we call our Christian friends back to the original roots of Abraham, of Adam, of Noah, all of the prophets, because none of them came with the Trinity. None of them. All of them came with one message: worship God alone, with no partners.
Sorry, I had to press record again. You probably, if you got to this point, heard a lot of in the videos. I apologize. I have no idea why that's going on. We're working vehemently to solve that problem. If you're wondering who we are, Me and my multiple personalities.
Oh, what? You're insane!
Anyway, the clip you just saw was from Content of Everything. It's a debate between Christians and Muslims, and that was just to highlight the tensions within the religion, because I don't want to evade from that. I want it to be very real that is a tension when this is being discussed. However, that tension sometimes, I believe, masks that there's a racial aspect to this. You've seen this in the Tia Ward video, and also that racial aspect between black and brown people from the South Asian community. I'm not denigrating people from the East Asian community, but predominantly that's where Islam is centered around, obviously, the Arab community too, and it can be extended to that. That racial tension, that dividing, that crabs in a barrel mentality is very evident, and that tension is palpable. Take this for example, you had Krept and Conan who opened up a supermarket. Who are Krept and Conan? In case you didn't know, they're two rappers from the UK. They've opened up a black supermarket saying that it's catered for black people, right? Hence the excitement, the repost, everyone's gassed for them. Turns out they own a 4% minority in the business, which isn't the problem. There is a majority stakeholder who owns about 96% of the business, showing that this was maybe more to do with marketing and not specifically Krept and Conan's widespread appeal, more to do with their appeal to a certain ethnic group and people who have been to this black-owned supermarket, which was actually an Asian-owned supermarket, came to discover that it's more centered for...
I'm about to tell you, it's well organized, it's clean, and all the staff are friendly and helpful. It's set across 2 floors. The downstairs is where the tills are, some fruit and veg, the bakery, and the butchers. The upstairs is where you'll find the aisles, and it's got everything that a normal supermarket would have. But ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, this is an Asian shop. If you were to divide the shop by percentage, saying what is catered to black people and what is catered to Asians, the blacks would have 10 to 20% of the shop, and the Asians would have 80 to 90% of the shop. This was further underlined by the music playing in the shop while I was there. I mean, I can't play it for you here because of copyright, but I did Shazam it, and I'll let you come to your own conclusions about how it sounded based off the image of the artist.
I haven't been to it yet, so I can't speak on it myself. However, from that Link Up TV documentary video, it did seem like that to me. Why is that important? Because so often black people are used as a face or something to promote something that garners more attention to different demographics while using their community. Now, why is that important to bring up is that the backlash from the Krept and Conan thing, to me, underbellies that tension that lives within the black community and black and brown community. So many times I've read information that or data on a particular issue, and it's black and brown people, and often people don't realize that there is a difference in treatment. There is a difference within the communities and how they treat us. And I think sometimes this interfaith debate actually is masking another racial debate. That's not to act like the Nissi thing didn't happen where that was 2 people of the same race. That's not to act like, in my opinion, that some of the tension between Hinduism, Sikhism, is to do more with ethnic tensions between Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, different parts of India. And some of my friends will kill me if I don't mention that some people from the South Asian community origin who are born in, who were raised, I should say, in Africa, whether that be Zimbabwe, Rwanda, may view their relationship with black people differently, and I understand that. I'm all behind that as well. I understand that they're more assimilated into black culture, so they've got a better understanding, less likely to perform some of these racial tensions. And as I've said earlier, I've experienced more racism from Asian people, but you want to make that clear distinction. But I will say to those people as well, if you go to the Caribbean, there is an ethnic tension there between the black and Asians of that group as well. So this tension between black and brown people is nothing new, and I do believe genuinely from the bottom of my heart that this religious debate somewhat coats over this, and you can see that from the Tia Ward video as well, that I question genuinely and sincerely if that was a white man of Christian faith would the story be the same?
Been no way in hell them bitches could have sat right here in front of. Ain't no way in hell.
Ain't no way, bro.
Ain't no way in hell.
Ain't no way.
If it was white men predominantly trying to date people in the Arab community, people from the South Asian community, do you genuinely think the pushback would be this bad?
No.
Let's just call it what it is. Because anytime you hear those kind of tragic stories, it's predominantly men or women from other ethnic backgrounds, specifically Afro-Caribbean backgrounds. Let's just keep it all the way wrong. That's not to say people who are Somali haven't shared same tensions if you're married into a Somali background from a Christian background. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that is a very real evidence. And there's also a tension with how some Somali people define themselves. Let's keep it a band. Keep it all the way a band. I'm not trying to divide and play Struggle Olympics. I'm just saying this is a tension that lives within the debate. Also, if you disagree, put into the comments, but we're gonna fly into the originally set video. I really pray that this video here doesn't have the same audio issues. I apologize. Definitely next week, well, the next video won't have these audio issues.
Next question. I'm a Muslim girl and I met a non-Muslim partner. We are genuinely the love of each other's lives and we plan to marry soon. He has decided to convert to Islam, but due to being from different racial background, I dread telling my traditional parents. What advice would you give me in coming out to them about my interracial relationship?
All right.
Woo!
I don't want to attack any particular race, but I was once with a lady. They have a big problem with Jamaicans. It was an East African race.
Okay.
I was in a relationship with an East African girl. So there's ways to do, if you don't want to lie as well, there's ways to do these things. For example, a lot of East Africans don't realize that Jamaicans are West Indian. So you just say, no, he's West Indian. They will think Indian, like West Indian. I'm not even joking.
They already see you with your big beard and your curly hair.
Yeah, that's fine.
Come
I'm West
on.
Indian. It works. Try it out and get back to me and leave a comment.
No, we're not promoting deceit. We are not promoting being deceitful.
Yeah, but that racism thing is just so dead, man.
Do you know?
However, if you're watching this and you're afraid to introduce them, you're afraid to bring this up, whether you're a female or a male, you have to ask yourself,
how bad can it get? Just how goddamn bad can it get?
what's the fear in knowing? You have to get to that stage and just go for it. And better to know the truth than not. And something that was said in that Tia Ward video.
Try your mum first. Mums are usually more easygoing than dads.
And they know deep down.
Yeah.
They know their children. They know that you don't want to be with, majority of the people don't want to be with their cultures. I think the best thing and the most courageous, respected thing to do is go up to your parents and have a word.
Have a word?
Have a word, man.
Your parents probably already know. Your parents know you. Your parents might know that you're someone who's more than likely or likely to date someone outside of your culture, potentially outside of your religion. Talking your parents through it. For the most part, and I've got to be real with you people, for the most part, it doesn't go left. It's a bit of uncomfortable conversations. I understand, I want to say this correctly because I always say it wrong. Having a niqab could be difficult.
If you are a Muslim and you want your partner to participate in a formal nikah ceremony, here are the basic requirements in order to fulfill the duties of a nikah. These are the basic requirements of a nikah. 1. Both partners must be marrying out of their free will. 2. You must have your family's blessings, typically from your guardian, which could be your parents. 3. You must have at least 2 witnesses of sound mind. 4. You must offer a maher to the wife. This can be in the form of a cash payment, investment stocks, or a ring. Then lastly, you must both be willing to say kabul hai 3 times in order to agree to the responsibilities of the nikah nama contract. These are the basic requirements of a nikah for These are the basic practices of a nikah nama ceremony and contract in order to be accepted as a nikah.
However, there's still ways around that. And, you know, if you have Hindu ceremonies, Sikh ceremonies, Buddhist ceremonies, although Buddhists are quite open to marrying people outside of their faith, there are ways around it. And it's important to say this because this video will make it seem a bit misleading. The most common interfaith marriage is Christians and non-affiliated religions. which I think harkens back to the culture versus religion. Many people who are brought up in Christian cultures are brought up in, I want to say, slightly more cosmopolitan environments and cultures. And that's not to say people aren't brought up in very dogmatic and Christian households, but breeds a different sort of inclusion and understanding of other religions. And you can see from some of these examples, some people just couldn't get over it. Some people worked through it. Some people are uniquely set up for it. You yourself in that situation, before it gets serious, have to ask yourself the most important question: can I do this? Can I foresee it? Can I close my eyes and foresee it? Don't be digmatized or pusmatized. Don't go off that emotion. Be logical. Can you make this work? Can that person be the person that you make it work with? Is it realistic? Is it too far away from what you know and are comfortable with? Just be honest. Some people face ostracizations. There are scary stories about that too. Like I said earlier though, I do believe that is the minority, but that is a potential fear. Confronting it and going full steams ahead will bring you the answer and clarity that you need. Sometimes you have to be a little bit uncomfortable to gain the truth.
An idea in the great Western tradition that the truth is the way and the path of life, and that no one comes to the Father except through the truth. I believe that to be the case because I don't think that you can manifest who you are without the truth. And so I think it's literally and metaphorically truth, that the pathway to who you could be if you were completely who you were is through the truth. And I would say, and so the truth does set you free, but the problem is that it destroys everything that isn't worthy in you as it sets you free, and that's a process of burning.
I don't want this video to be an advice video. I see my videos more as guides, conversation starters, a way to bring you into a topic that you may or may not be interested in. If you're not interested, shout out for you for still watching. But they're important. I don't want them to be just advice as if I know what's right. But I'm going to say this so maybe I can point you in the right direction at best. As arrogant as that sounds. Ask yourself, if you're dealing with a partner who potentially is very militant in their faith, or is saying that they can't date outside their faith, how do they practice their faith? Now, I bring that up in a sense that I've dated some Christian girls and they actually brought me closer to God. Some brought me further away, not gonna lie. No shade, I was toxic too. The Muslim girl I did date, if I'm being quite frank, she also brought me closer to God. But that was the way she practiced. If someone is not practicing in a way that matches up to their words, can you take them seriously? Can you take that situation seriously? And if they are, you don't need to practice the way they practice to be closer to God. That's just my opinion. You may differ. However, I do believe how someone practices, how someone lives their life is a truer reflection of God working through them. If you believe in all that. Ask yourself those questions where, how is someone practicing this? How do you two communicate through a problem? Because it's going to be difficult. There is the aspect of when you're thinking ahead, how you raise your children with them.
Our philosophy is based on something that the Buddha once said. He said that if you want to draw water, you don't dig 6 1-foot wells, you dig 1 6-foot well. What he meant by that is that if you want to have a deep spiritual experience, it's important to pick a path, pick a well. But he also understood that no matter what well you choose, the water that you're drawing from is the water that everybody is drawing from. And that's what we believe, and it's also what we want to teach our children. We want them to choose their own well, but we also want them to drink from every other well around them. We do this thing on Sundays that we like to call home church. So we get together with our family, we pray a little bit, we sing a little bit, we share a little bit, and then we will usually have some kind of lesson from some religion of the world. So we've read like a little bit of the Ramayana.
We've read the whole thing many times, actually.
Okay, we've read all of the Ramayana, which is kind of impressive.
One of our sons is like super into it.
It's true. I mean, it's about a blue god with a magic bow and arrow. Like, who wouldn't love that?
awesome.
We've read stories from the gospel and shared parables. We've gone out and done things. We've gone out with our Jewish friends and we've built sukkahs.
Which is like basically building a fort, so our other son is like, I want to do this.
Exactly.
I want to be Jewish, I want to build forts.
We've gone to religious services in our community and religious services all around the world.
Yeah.
Like some people don't mind if the kid picks any religion, but for both of us, because religion is something that's very important to both of us, that like we both have our says and our stands. So it's very hard to decide, you know. And unfortunately, you know, our kid has to pick. Like it's not that if he picks Islam, that Islam is worse than Christianity, or if he picks Christianity, Christianity is bad, or whatever. It's not that any of the religion is bad. It's just that we don't know which one he will pick, and we just hope that as long as he believes in God, you know, that's what I pray for. Like as long as he believes in God, he's a good person, he does good, like he's not harming people, he's not stealing, and you know, he's just like overall a nice person. He prays to God. And
I find this to be the most earnest point in this video, perhaps one of my favorite points in the video. It's the reality of kids. I have nieces, I have nephews. There's just a reality that you don't know how they're going to grow up. You can put all the faith in them and they can go left. I've seen some guys with some beautiful names. God's grace on earth. Be known on the road as younger killer.
Wait, what?
You don't know what your child is going to end up being. There is the nature versus nurture, the school, the environment, what their taste is, where they are prone to be, inclinations to certain things you can't guess. And I like the fact that they are just simply asking for those children to have God inside them, for those children to, when they pick their faith or choose their faith, if they do choose a faith, it's with true, earnest intentions. And it will be down, in my opinion, to what they gravitate towards.
Same faith marriages actually didn't start out that way. In fact, 25% of people who have the same faith as their spouse now actually started off as different faiths. And it sort of goes against the conventional wisdom and the advice that you hear when you're getting married. You know, be prepared for this person not to change, you know, whatever you don't like about them. If they don't clean their room now, they're not going to clean their room when they're married. But apparently religion is very fluid in these marriages. And whether they've decided to be one religion for the sake of the children, or whether a husband or wife just becomes convinced over the course of time that their spouse's religion is really the better one or the more true one, they've decided to change faiths. And sometimes it takes a long time for it to happen. I interviewed couples who had been married for 20 years before one spouse decided to convert to the other spouse's faith. And I don't know, I guess the lessons is patience maybe pays off.
What Winfred said I like the most is, at the end of the day, as long as God is there. And if you are truly a religious person, that's what matters the most. I do think sometimes these questions about how you raise a child and how a child is raised, it's got more to do with indoctrination, like Raza Aslan said, than true holistic approach of bringing a child into adulthood. That's very important, and careful, because this is a part of the conversation I was having on the treadmill, which I don't know why that sounds weird to me. But anyway, a part of the conversation is not trying to not repeat the mistakes of the past, and also not putting them in a position where they feel maybe the same feelings that you felt, in the sense that trapped or unworthy or not good enough or eager to please, instead of trying to do right by themselves, not in a selfish way, but to the core of who their being is. If you are someone in a situation where you could be entering an interfaith marriage or interfaith relationship, you're considering it, understand your partner's relationship. There are idiosyncrasies to each religion, despite me thinking they all have the same universal message. There are idiosyncrasies to them, things that make them unique, that you must understand to better understand maybe your partner's way of thinking or where they're coming from. On top of that, I think it's important to understand why some crosses of religions don't happen as much. For example, Islam and Hinduism. That's to do, for example, with Islam viewing religions with multi-faith gods as paganism. That's why things like that don't happen. I don't think they mean it in a derogatory way. It's that they are monolithic religion. That's why Abrahamic religions like Judaism and Christianity are seen as more acceptable And we can really go on and on and on about which crosses are more likely to work and not work, and some people will battle me to death with how Islam and Christianity cannot work, they're inherently different. And hey, it's not a religious debate that I'm going for today, but if you want that, I'll happily do that. Put it to the comments if that's what you want. It's to provide an insight into this new and probably growing aspect of interfaith, interracial relationships, which has risen since 2010, 40%, which prior to that it had only gone up by 19%. So it is something that's consistently on the rise, and it's something to be aware of. It's something that's not spoken about too much on the internet, and I hope you found that episode knowledgeable and fun at the same time. But with that, I give you my leave. Shout out to all of you. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. Don't forget to put into the comments what you want to hear from me next, and I can't wait to hear from you guys next 2 weeks when I see you with my next episode. I should not have dated it because it might be 10 days, it might be 7 days. Don't watch all that, but I'm out. Peace.
What do you like?
I like Allah.
You love Allah? You like him or you love him?
I like him and I love him. You gay.
There is a big difference between
No. Another gay
How do
here.
you show your love?
Another Arab
How do you
gay.
show your love to Allah?
Another Arab gay.
I'm a Muslim like you.
Wallahi al-Azim, you are gay.
Don't say this to me.
Wallahi you are gay. Wallahi you are gay like